Hello and welcome to the Monocle Weekly. I'm Fernando Augusto Pacheco, and on today's show, I speak with Italian chef Giorgio Locatelli about his new restaurant, Locatelli, at London's National Gallery. It was a pleasure to welcome him to our studio. Giorgio Locatelli, what a pleasure. Giorgio, I'm a bit of a fan here, I have to admit, I used to go often to Locatelli, it was a favorite of mine. And when I saw the news that you're going to be at the National Gallery, I was so happy. My first question to you, I think, how did this project happen? How were you invited by the National Gallery? Did you knew the space? So tell us about how did this happen, Giorgio?
Okay, what happened was that we come, our contract with the hotel, the owners of the hotel, come to a stall on the 20 years. And so for 3 years, we kind of like went up and down and talking and tried to really get a solution to sign other 5 years. Obviously, it was impossible to move them, and their demands were completely unreasonable. It wouldn't work for us financially to run a restaurant with what they wanted from us. And so we kind of like decided with my wife at the start of last year, we start, okay, we give him 1 year notice and we finish at the end of the year. So we give the year notice, say, okay, on the 31st of December we finish. In February, I was just chatting with somebody, Cersei's, and I say that I'm going to take a couple of years off. I really want to go to Australia. I really want to go to Japan. I really want to go. But, in reality, in the last 30 years, yes, we took some holiday here and there, but there was always 1 week here, 1 week there. When you carry the weight of the restaurant, you really cannot take a month holiday. You really can't, especially because both of us work on it. So it's both of us, if one is missing, that's okay. And the other one can really look into that. With my wife, it was just so difficult, to take more than a couple of weeks off. So we never had big travel. So we usually go to Italy and things like that. So our dream was to go to Japan and go all the way around the other way, so down to Australia and then coming the other way to Tahiti and so on, coming back the other way. And, and take, like 6 months or 1 year, something like that. Just really like something really nice for us. And I would just say, talking about it with this gentleman from Paul, I would just say, I want to do that. And he said, we're looking to get this contract for the National Gallery. And I say, look, the National Gallery would never take an Italian restaurant. It's a National Gallery, it's 200 years old building. They would want something very British, something very... I said, why don't you we have them round for lunch one day, about 10 of them, and they say, we had a quick chat and we told them what our vision was, which, my vision was that, I felt that Locanda have come to a point, then it become a little bit elitistic to eat there. Just for the price, we could not really afford to sell the price at less than that. Our profitability was just so little anyway. But, the idea was that, I really like this idea that Italian food is such a big equalizer, and there is no class on our food. The Prime Minister and the Pope today, I think they will have a worse meal than some farmer up in the mountain or in Tuscany. So there's no class attached to that. When like the French food has classes, and the English food even worse, So we don't have that. It's the same food for everybody. So I was thinking I would like to go back to start to do exactly what we used to do, well before Zafferano, and just go back to really do some really good food, really well presented, but not decorated, not worth, small dishes, and something that comes quite fast, and something that is really direct for its quality and for its truthfulness. Not like a prostrating sort of thing of the genius of the chef, just Italian food. And so I'd say that to them, and obviously I cooked them a meal, and I cooked quite a rough meal, and it was spring, but, it was start of the spring, and I still put in some polenta, I put in some really, farmer fairs. And they loved it. They loved it, and they kind of like, there was about 21 people on these things to try to get the contract, because it was a big contract. But obviously we associated with Circes, which, they're very good at doing trotteur, at doing things like that. They're doing I went to visit a lot of the, like, Buckingham Palace and Albert Royal Museum, and so I thought that the quality was really constant. And we're not trying to do something creative. We're not trying to do something. We really started to do something. We turned in something that was like a destination food into like a service food for everybody. And obviously, I say, okay, I want to do this, but I want to have a complete control on the price. I want the price to be really, I don't want to go there and do another locanda. Otherwise, there's no points for me. The point is to go there and do something that is for everyone. And so, obviously the conditions are good. The rental is on percentage. So there's all these things, the cost of running it, that and we can transmit this saving that we make in a normal standalone restaurateur cannot onto serving this food then as a very high quality produce, but carry a premium price. It doesn't carry a premium price.
And, you also have a bar downstairs.
Yeah.
And one thing that, first of all, it looks so beautiful. And it does make me feel that I'm in Italy as well. There is an Italian kind of something you would find in Milano, right? Or any other, city perhaps in the north of Italy. It's very chic at the same time.
Yeah, it's kind of like, obviously we want the people, this idea. I mean, we've been conned so badly. The Italians were well ahead with their coffee, the coffee culture for years. You go into a bar in the morning, which is like we have in England. You don't even know what a bar is. Yeah, wine bar. That's what they call it. But bar to us is where you're going to have your coffee in the morning. And the culture of the coffee, the idea, then is an espresso. An espresso, you don't. When somebody says, "Can I have an espresso to take away?" The person should be allowed to have an espresso. So an espresso is not to take away. It's not to be served in this bloody plastic little thing. An espresso is something that, it took but many years to work out how this machine works. The extraction, the temperature, to get this cremosity. It should be drinking into a china, thick, warm, and you should have 5 minutes. That's why it's called an espresso. Because you're taking 5 minutes and you're talking to the guy, so you're having a break. So an espresso to take away is just an abomination. You know what I mean? And then there we we kind of fight a lot. Yeah, and my wife was like very, very, very specific about it, and I just let her go for it. How the display needed to be. What we want to put in it, we wanted to do this maritozzi, which is, they are this kind of like a brioche, and this can be salted or sweet. And so we thought it could be for both, all through the day. And then, the coffee is all on china. We don't serve it. And of course, sometimes somebody wants to take away, and you cannot.
If you're listening I always do not ask for takeaway.
Do not ask for a coffee to take away when I'm there, because otherwise I'm gonna go at you.
And Giorgio, another fascinating thing. I went to an event, of course, at Locatelli. It was a very special event where we were eating after seeing this beautiful, art from Caravaggio. I mean, of course, there was a very specific event which we can talk about it. But do you think your food this time, your menu, is a little bit influenced by the art you see at the National Gallery?
Well, I kind of like, one of the greatest advantage of being part of the team of the National Gallery is then you get in half an hour before everybody. So the gallery is open at 10, and you at 9:15, you can walk in the gallery. The lights are on, and you're there on your own with this unbelievable painting.
So beautiful.
And it's amazing, It's one of those things that it really is. When the paintings are beautiful already when there is people. But when you're there on your own, somehow they get this magical sort of, almost they talk to you. And yes, I do kind of like got really fascinated about different type of art, because obviously some of the Italian art then was there. I knew what it was, so I was always a little bit in love with Caravaggio and what he did. And so the dinner Manus, which inspired that dinner, bits by bits, from the bread to the wine to the actually chicken and all the ingredients, and they are on a painting, were on the dishes, and we did, and then finishing with the idea of this bloody dessert, with the beetroot, was incredible. It was very nice to work with the boys and take them, and the girls, because the chef is actually a girl, and take her upstairs to the gallery and look at the painting together and try to get some idea, and so yes, the process was very artistically. It was the art that really inspired the menu, and now I kind of like we start to look. I was with Andrew Graham Dixon, which is a old friend of mine. We were walking around and we stopped to see the Velázquez, because there is the Venere of Velázquez, which is obviously the best looking bottom that you can see in London. That one is that, and it's just such a beautiful painting, and then. Before that, you have like three. Then they are like they call it the bodega. So there was like when Velázquez was about 20 before he got picked up by the king. He used to do this painting that were kind of like religious related, but also with the set. And so you have one with fish, one with garlic, one. And Andrew was taking me through, because you see, it's like kind of like when you have somebody explain you the painting, then you really kind of like get an inspiration from that. So kind of understanding it is very, very important. So I was yesterday I was there for half an hour looking again and thinking like maybe that's what we do. We'll do a Velázquez dinner and we'll do the same thing. The idea is brilliant. Then, the people come, they have something like they gather, they have a drink or something like that, and then we can take them up, look at the three painting, and then come back and then go through the menu with them.
And you have so much material there to do that, right?
Amazing. It's like, the Dutch are incredible, all the early Dutch art. And so there is so much there that you can pick. And then sometimes, it's not even, because at the moment almost I'm only kind of like focusing on the actual food that is there. I'm sure them slowly will come up, then we'll pick the emotion. And it's nice to see then some of the guys and some of the girls that work for us, when they have this little break in the afternoon, instead than go out or go smoking or whatever, or go to the pub or they go out to the gallery. And so you think like, wow, we're starting maybe something really nice in this, it's working.
And food-wise, you mentioned that this is not, a new Locatelli.
No.
This has its own kind of identity as well. I wonder if you can tell us a bit more about that. You said you wanted something a bit more, it doesn't necessarily need to be super, crazy expensive, but, hearty, simple, but delicious at the same time. Well, I was looking at the menu. It was like the filetto di cernia, the tortelloni di zucca. I was like, wow.
Well, obviously, we will be very seasonal all the time, because the menu is not so big. In Locanda we had 36 dishes, and then it would be 12 dessert and the ice cream on top. So you're going up to 48 dishes altogether. And that's a lot of work, but it was like with 26 chefs, and we bake the bread and everything else as well. Here we are a little bit restricted for the space that we have, so we have to be a little bit more direct on that. And we will work, obviously. Cersei would like to change the menu only 4 times, but I want to at least change it 8 times a year, because I think there is quite a lot. I didn't think about it, or didn't expect it to be so much return business. That's a lot of people that comes almost every month. And so now then they are 6 months also, then we are open. We kind of like see the frequency of these people. Then they coming in. Some people come twice a month. And these are the people that really is a leisure. So they coming in, maybe there is the new exhibition, then they come for lunch, or they come to see something or in the gallery and they come for lunch, or otherwise they meet before they have lunch and then they go to the gallery. So, and this is like there is a pattern to it, which, you know, I thought like we open a restaurant, every day would be somebody different from all over the world. But you know, the booking is going well, and, you know, we kind of like holding it down to 30-40%, and we allowed 60% of the restaurant to be ready for the walk-in, because I think this is a very important thing, and it doesn't have to feel like, you know, I like this natural idea, you know, like in Italy you don't book. Of course, in Michelin star restaurant, things like that, now they go to all in at you and everything. But, you know, I remember that, you know, like on Sunday in our restaurant, no one books, and we knew that we were going to do 100 people, but no one books. Nobody picked up the phone and called, "Oh, can you keep me a table?" Unless there was a big celebration that they needed a cake. Well, then they would maybe come around and say something like, "Oh, can I have the cake?" or whatever, because I need a bigger table. But otherwise, you know, the table of 4, 6, a family, thing like, they didn't book. And, you know, and I like this spontaneity of having a lunch. What we doing? Let's have a lunch. And you go for a lunch, and it's a nice lunch. That is life. Like this idea that I got to be there at 8 o'clock, I got to be dressed so much, I got to leave at 9:30, and, you know, and I'm having a minimum spending. Like, you know, man, it's like that's not hospitality. Hospitality is about you. The door is open and you hospitable. You know, this is what, and you know, obviously, hold on. I don't want to then sounds like, you know, of course, then there is restaurant and they have certain amount of expenses, and especially if you run a standalone restaurant, you really need to hit your target. So booking, timing and things like that, it's all these are in place in order for you to be profitable at the end of the day, pay all your people and pay all the, otherwise you're closing. And, you know, we are allowed to have this now. We are allowed, for me is a great advantage at the moment that I have, because I can allow this spontaneity to be there in our restaurant, and it looks really nice.
I love you mentioned this, because I like the music, the food scene here in London, but I think there is that problem for me that everything needs to be booked, you know. So, for example, you can't sometimes be spontaneous, but I'm glad there are chefs like you who are trying to change that a little bit.
But you see, it's an economic, it's a financial thing, you know, and I understand, you know, we were doing the same in Locanda, you know, we needed to know how many people we had in, because if we didn't hit our targets, it was easy to lose money in one day, like, you know, with the expenses that you had, or the no show, things like that. They were, you know, if you miss a table of 6 one night, you know, if you have a 50 covers restaurant and you miss a table of 6, that's a tenth of your taking. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money, and that maybe is exactly what your profit was going to be. So you be there all day working, and everybody got paid, but you didn't get paid at all because of that table didn't turn out. So I understand that. It's not, and I understand why the people do it. But I still like this idea. Then at 5:30, 6 o'clock, you know, you go to your wife. You like to go for dinner? So let's go around the corner. And, you know, like, I love to go to pubs and things like that. You know, I always go to this Perroquet up the road in Kentish Town, because I go there and, you know, it's always 5:30, 6 o'clock. And then, you know, if they haven't got a table, I have a drink at the bar, and then I wait until they got a table. And then, you know, and this is very natural. This is very Italians as well, you know, it's like...
I'm very glad as well. I was looking at, I don't know if it was a press release or something, that even your restaurant, of course, you're constrained to the hours of the museum, but there's some extended opening hours as well. And I think that's quite cool as well.
Okay, this is something that we have discussed with Mr. Finaldi and with the team down there. So obviously for us, Friday night and Saturday night, the gallery are open till 9 o'clock. So we are allowed to stay in the restaurant till 10, 1 hour after they closing. He mentioned the fact that they are making, you know, when they had this big exhibition of Van Gogh, you know, the demand was so high. So they decide to do one weekend, and they open till 4 o'clock in the morning. Then they give in 2 hours, and then they reopen at 6. And then they did all day until 4 o'clock again.
The morning?
And then, yes. And they had like slots of 2 hours. So you're allowed in certain amount of people every 2 hours. Then, some people hang around a little bit more, some people a bit less, but to keep it flowing, no? And apparently they sold out the all tickets in 40 minutes. So this was for them a signal. Then, there is interest as well. It's almost like, it's so funny. Like when you walk down Kentish Town Road, there's the barber shop, and they're full at 9 o'clock in the evening. When, like in Italy, the barber shop closes at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. That's it. There's no more. He's in the bar drinking his Negroni at 5 o'clock. He's not got any air. But, culturally, the city has this capability to extend the consumption time that we can have. And the museum maybe could come into that. Obviously, there is a lot of regulation and there's a lot of security. I mean, look at what happened just now in Paris, so you have to be really careful of what you do. You can't it's not like a restaurant that you say, okay, I open till 2 o'clock, you leave the door open and then you close the door when you finish, that's it. So there is a lot of constraint on that. But they are of the idea. If they do that, we will be keeping open all the way through. So if they open till 12 o'clock, we will be there till 12 o'clock. So because, at the end of the day, I can imagine somebody coming around, go to see an exhibition or do something between 8 till 10, and then 10 o'clock come up and have something to eat and then go home. So, or contrary, whatever. But, it will be really, really interesting to see. I think they're also doing a pilot at the moment at the Tate, not the normal Tate, the new Tate, the one down... the modern, Tate Modern. I think they're going to do it. They're doing a pilot to open until late. But that's modern art, so the public is slightly bit younger. So maybe, instead than going out to see something, maybe that fits them better. But we'll see what the result will be. But, what I found really interesting is that the people at the gallery, they're really open-minded. They really, they listen to what we say when we're having a problem, or because obviously, running a restaurant, for them it's just it's a completely. The moment then they took a painting and they stuck it. It's a lot of work behind, but the moment then the painting is on the wall, boom, that's it. They don't care how many. If there is 2,000 people or 2 people coming, for them it's the same thing. So hospitality is very different. The amount of people it counts on the service and so and so and so. So, but even with that. Under the point of view, they really are very careful, and they really are putting us in the right position to really do a good job and give an overall experience. Because I feel that if you come to the museum, you've seen an exhibition, or you see the normal sort of the galleries, and then you have a nice meal, that makes a day. And remember that it's possibly one of the cheapest things you could do, because anything else in central London is so expensive. There you don't pay anything to get in. And then the meal is going to be like half the price that you'll get anywhere else. And so, it is a day taking, in a very...
Locatelli meal.
Fantastic.
Giorgio, finally, I just want to, please, I was looking at the menu. Give us one dish to whet our appetites. Do you have a favorite at the moment? Because
at the moment, my favorite is this pappardelle with the white ragu. The white ragu is a very important thing because, and the inspiration to me comes, obviously we were cooking a white ragu as well when we were in Locanda, some months of the year. It was something that was recurrent. So it's made with the giblets, with the inside of it, everything that you don't need. So it's a very poor cuisine. It's you get the capon, you get the turkey, you get the chicken, and you're giving the chicken to the owner of the land, and you keep all the bits, the neck, the legs and things, and that's how you make this ragu. But the story that inspired me was that it was in 1945, in this camp. In 1945, Italy, we were enemy to the Americans because we were, on with the Germans. And so then when they invaded half the way through the invasion in 1945, we become, the guy Mussolini and the fascists just moved away, and the Italian government just became with the Americans. So they had these camps in America, in Florida, all over the place, and they had these POW, prisoner of war. Then they were either captured or the things, and they were sent back. Then they were enemy, obviously, until then. But then, when this happened, these guys were no enemy anymore. So the Americans thought, wait a minute. The area, we don't want them to go back at the moment. They don't want to go back at the moment. So let's them run the camp. So what happened was that, suddenly, obviously there was restaurateur and hotelier and things like that. Comes Thanksgiving. So the head of the general or whatever he was, I don't remember now, said, okay, we would like you, Italian, to cook a Thanksgiving lunch for us. And so he says, only one thing, you have to have turkey. So suddenly, the turkey, wasn't cooked with the sage and the things that we're doing now, the stuffing and the sausages in it. It was very much of a rudimental thing that the American did. So these guys turned this turkey into a piece of art, but not only. They say, if it has to be an Italian meal, it has to be pasta. And so with all the giblets and all the stuff that they made this white ragu. And the Americans were crazy about it. And I remember reading the story and I thought, oh God, we have to put it on the menu, this, because it's such a like an Italian way of thinking about food. And, it's a cuisine born out of necessity. It's not a cuisine that has this sort of like the haute cuisine, French, the peach melba and the crêpe Suzette. And, it is a more articulated sort of expression of the land, the people, and the history around there, and the necessity of these people. So, and you found that again and again and again. Whenever you go from Rome to Milan, you found those dishes, now they become like classics, but their history is really into the necessity, into the capability to transform something. I was shocked the other day that they think at the Trump did this dinner, and they serve panzanella. Panzanella is a dish that you just the bread is got too dry, and then you make panzanella because you wetting it up. You do think, and to think that now at the official dinner at the White House they'll serve panzanella is just an incredible.
How times have changed.
How fantastic! How Italian cuisine has done such a step forwards.
Thank you, Giorgio. For more information about his restaurant, Locatelli, go to locatelli@nationalgallery.co.uk. It is really delicious indeed. I'm Fernando Augusto Pacheco. The show was edited by Elliot Greenfield and Mariella Bevan. Thank you very much for listening.